Good morning. This is today. It's a Wednesday. We get a sunrise over Brasilia, Brazil on a December 1st. Yes, we are starting our last month of 82. The president's in Brazil this morning for a meeting later today with President Jair Figueiredo. And good morning. Welcome to Today. I'm Bryant Gumbel. Even while the president is in South America, the man who might have been his foe in 1984 has said no. Senator Edward Kennedy has told political associates that he will not run for the presidency in 1984. Now, John Palmer will get us caught up on details of the news desk in just a moment. And then later in the hour, we'll be joined by Bob Strauss, who will talk about that decision. But coming up shortly, we're going to talk missiles and disarmament in this half hour with a Swedish diplomat who says the superpowers have long had all the nuclear weapons they will ever need. And with Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger, who will join us live from Brussels. He's there telling the NATO allies all about the Pershing II cruise missiles and deployment of the MX. It's going to be a busy half hour this morning. Let's start it with a good morning on this Wednesday to Jane Pauley.
And good morning indeed. Our After 8 subject this morning and the next hour is organ transplants. Of course, the good news is that Jamie Fisk's father's televised appeal for a donor probably saved his daughter's life. But is it right for organ transplants to go to whoever gets the most publicity? That's our subject a little bit later in the program.
Let's start the morning at the news desk with John Palmer. Good morning, John.
Good morning. Senator Edward Kennedy, bowing to the wishes of his family and advice from political advisors, has decided not to run for president in 1984. Kennedy, who tried without success to win the Democratic presidential nomination 2 years ago, is expected to announce his decision at a news conference later this morning. NBC News correspondent Bob Kur is standing by live this morning in Washington with more on the story. Bob?
John, good morning. The news struck this city like a bolt of lightning, getting through to Kennedy aides, Democratic Party officials, and, for that matter, aides to other likely Democratic presidential candidates was just about impossible last night. Senator Kennedy himself was informing several of them by telephone. On Thanksgiving at Hyannisport on Cape Cod, Kennedy's children told him they did not want him to seek the presidency in 1984. That and other personal considerations were the main reasons for Kennedy's decision. Other personal considerations include Kennedy's unsettled personal life, the end of his marriage. But there were political considerations, too. Some sources say Kennedy believes Ronald Reagan will run again and that an improving economy by campaign time will make unseating the president very difficult. As recently as 2 days ago, Kennedy was adding people to his political staff, people selected to run a presidential campaign.
In October, during Kennedy's Senate campaign, former Vice President Mondale joked about their political rivalry.
I want to be here today to support Ted Kennedy's bid for re-election. He's a great senator, and I want to keep him in the United States Senate for at least 6 more years.
But a Kennedy political prank that day clearly showed that he was thinking about the '84 presidential race. Last month, on election night, Roger Mudd asked Kennedy about 1984.
Could you take me step by step through the answer and what it means for 1984? You're not closing the door on anything, are you, Senator?
No, I've indicated I'd work on these issues. That's what I've focused on during the course of this campaign, and that's what I'll focus on in the next several months, and I'll let the future take care of itself.
Now, about that future, as far as we know, Kennedy's decision applies only to 1984. His family and some of his political advisors believe 1988 would be a better year for the senator to try again to be president. John?
Thank you, Bob. President Reagan woke up in Brazil this morning at the start of his four-nation tour of South and Central America. White House correspondent Andrea Mitchell is standing by live in the capital city of Brasilia. Good morning, Andrea.
Good morning, John, from Brasilia. President Reagan and President Figueiredo of Brazil will be meeting for more than 6 hours today, including what they are calling a working dinner. The main topic will be economics. Brazil is heavily in debt, and President Figueiredo has blamed the United States for exporting recession and unemployment to third world countries. But when Mr. Reagan arrived in the Brazilian capital last night, he received the red carpet treatment with full military honors. The welcome from the Brazilian president was warm.
A presença entre nós do presidente norte-americano.
He stressed mutual solutions to world economic problems. Mr. Reagan acknowledged there have been differences.
And while we may have areas of disagreement, we also have a great deal in common. I am sure our talks will be fruitful and prove beneficial to both our countries.
The most recent disagreement, of course, was the Falklands conflict. John?
Andrea? Kevin John Masterson, a mechanic who surrendered for questioning about the Chicago area Tylenol poisonings, is expected to waive extradition in Los Angeles today and be returned to Illinois for a lie detector test. Police want to question Masterson about the killings, but they say at this point he is not a prime suspect. Overseas, NATO defense ministers meeting in Brussels have reaffirmed their intention to deploy cruise and Pershing II nuclear missiles in Europe. Jim Bittermann reports now from Brussels.
For the NATO defense ministers, these twice-a-year meetings are an opportunity to take stock of the alliance. Greece, for instance, how staunch an ally is it? The socialist prime minister, Andrea Papandreou, who also serves as defense minister, won election in part by denouncing NATO. At one recent defense planning council meeting, Greece blocked the approval of a final communique for the first time in NATO history because Papandreou did not like it. There could be similar disagreements this time. But perhaps the most lingering issue among the NATO ministers is the strength of their defense commitment. With economies depressed, governments don't want to raise their defense budgets as much as the United States would like. At the same time, increasing isolationism in the United States could lead Congress to look favorably on proposed legislation that would reduce the number of American troops committed to Europe. The U.S. is expected to tell the defense ministers gathered here that they must upgrade their weapons technology, not only as a way to reduce manpower requirements, but also to improve battlefield capabilities. At the same time, an American official said that the Europeans must give the U.S. administration some sign of good faith about their defense commitments to help the White House resist congressional pressure to reduce American troop strength in Europe. Jim Bittermann, NBC News, Brussels.
In this country, the price war over airline fares escalates today despite warnings that cutthroat competition could further damage the already troubled airlines. Several major airlines have matched Pan American's plan to offer, as of today, an unrestricted one-way fare of $99 on many routes throughout the United States. That's it from the news desk. Here's Bryant.
Okay, John, thank you. In just a moment, turn our attention to both sides of the arms race, but at 7:07, let's bring in Willard Scott with the weather. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. One of my favorite groups, the Women's Club, Lebanon, New Hampshire. 80th anniversary. They're having lunch today. Sorry I can't make it. Maybe I can. Let's check the act this morning. Good news in California. The rain has finally stopped. You know they got as much as 12 inches of rain in Northern California in the last 48 hours, and in Southern California they got 3 inches of. It'll still be windy in Southern California and along the coast, as a matter of fact, all the way up to Washington and Oregon. Actually, a touch of wintertime continues. They are going to get some more snow today. This storm system that dumped up, to get this, 5 feet of snow in the northern mountains of California, they are going to, that whole system moving here into Colorado. Maybe 12 to 18 inches of snow in the higher elevations of the Colorado Rockies. Also in Wyoming, some snow today and some snow watches in Montana and Idaho. But the heaviest concentration of snow today will be in Colorado, in Utah, and northern Arizona, and probably the mountains of northern New Mexico. Denver, maybe 6 inches of snow today. The other thing is good news, really much needed rain here in the east, from New York State all the way down through the southeastern states along the Gulf. Scattered thunder showers around this area, and a flash flood watch is in effect for the lower Tennessee Valley. Keep an eye on that. Morning fog in this area this morning around Chicago. Maybe just a little problem, but that should burn off. The nation's midsection is beautiful. Now, let's check and see what's happening in your world this morning.
The current temperatures in Greater Los Angeles are in the low and mid-50s. Today's highs in the upper 50s.
Good old Walter Estes. He's in Rex, Georgia. He's 100 years old today. He's the oldest living graduate of Georgia Tech, and he's not a rambling wreck.
What, Ted Kennedy not running in '84? Well, that's what they're saying. We'll get reaction from Robert Strauss in the next half hour. And we're going to meet a little fellow named Hero 1. He's a robotic wonder whose mission is helping out around the house. At 7:24, it's time for Station Break.